Okay, here we go. We got the microphone on the phone. We got rational fractions, pre-assessment, and we got version 2. That's what that ID number up there. So one thing that we were talking about with a couple of students who stayed after and asked questions, which I love, is let's look at these steps. There are really 2 steps that you need to keep in mind. When simplifying rational fractions, the first question always has to be, is it in standard form? It has to be in standard form. And then every single time, whether it's 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 terms, you got to check to see if it's a standard form. Is there a common factor? And we also have to remember no first term's negative. And then after that takes place, then we deal with, okay, do we have 2 terms, 3 terms, or 4 terms? And these are the things that we have to consider. Is it a special case? Is it the difference of 2 squares? If it's 3 terms, is it a special case? Is it a binomial square? If it's not, then we have to do A times C. And then 4 terms, you got to factor by grouping. So those are the keys to completing these. So looking at this problem, these are monomials. It's a monomial over a monomial. One of the tricky things that you better keep track of is that negative out there. But it's not gonna affect your reducing of fractions. 27x to the 5th, so you have the negative. 27, you're gonna break into 3 times 3 times 3 times x to the 5th. And 6x to the 6th, I would break that down to this. And now we see that we can cancel one of the 3's. And we have 5 x's in the numerator, 6 in the denominator, so these 5 are going to cancel with 5 of the 6 down here. And that leaves you with x to the 1st in the denominator. So what do we have? We have a negative sign. We have 3 times 3, which is 9. We have a 2, and we have our x to the 1st, so 2x. We wouldn't write x to the 1st. Now that negative could go in the numerator if you want it. You might see the answer like that. Or we might see it in the denominator. Kind of don't want to, or you could have it, excuse me, that's in the numerator, or you can have it in the denominator. Any of these 3 are acceptable. Cool? All right, so those are some of the answers that you can get. Only those 3, no other ones. Number two, we're going to break up into the top and the bottom. So I'm going to do work. I'm going to do the top first. And so that's 2x cubed. 2x cubed. And I should just grab this instead of having to go back and forth on the page. Sorry. Ah, yes, I just did this with my group. So you have 2x to the 3rd minus 9x squared plus 9x. So remember, is it in standard form? Yes. Is there a common factor? Yes, there's actually an x that we can factor out. There's no constant that is in common of 2, negative 9, and 9, but they all do have an x. So let's take an x out. And we get this. If we take an x from each of those 3, we're left with this. Now the key to this is, okay, we factored a common factor, but we have to still factor this binomial. Can we do A times C? So my A value is 2, my C value is 9, which makes 18. Factors of 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. My signs, I look here, positive means they're the same. And then I go here and they're both negative. So negative, negative, I make my factor pairs both negative. This gives me negative 9, this gives me negative 11, this gives me negative 19. Which one of these 3 are equal to my middle term, negative 9? Here's my middle term, and I take these 2 values. So now I have my x outside that I factored. I bring down my 2x squared. And my negative 9x is going to turn into negative 3x minus 6x. So I got these 2 values from here. That's where they came from. And they still have to answer, they have to add up to negative 9x, negative 3x, and negative 6x. That's how I turn that 3 terms into 4. Now I'm going to factor by grouping. I'm going to group the first 2 and the last 2. So if I look in this first one, I'm still looking for a common factor. What's the common factor of 2x squared minus 3x? And x. And that leaves me with 2x minus 3. Now I'm looking for a common factor amongst those 2. And I have to notice that my first term is negative, so I have to factor out a negative 3. And that gives me 2x minus 3. I know I did it right because these have to be the same. So I have that x on the outside that I factored early on. Now I have my 2x minus 3 that were in common, and now I have my x minus 3 as my other binomial. So I just factored that to x times the quantity. So this equals x times the quantity 2x minus 3, x minus 3. Pretty sure that's what it ended up being. Let's go check. 2x minus 3, x minus 3. Good. All right. Now let's take the bottom part of that equation, of that fraction. Let's factor the bottom. So we're going to look at the bottom. And the bottom of number 2 says negative 2x squared plus 9x minus 9. So first question, is it in standard form? Yes. Is there a common factor? No common factor. However, my first term is negative, so I have to factor out a negative. And that produces 2x squared minus 9x plus 9. Huh, that looks kind of familiar. Now, if you didn't notice that is familiar, that it's just like this one, 2x squared minus 9x plus 9. 2x squared minus 9x plus 9. So, instead of redoing all the work, I know that that's already going to factor to this. If you want to do a times c again, 2 times 9, factors of 18, and get that and do all that work, fine. But it is kind of expected that you should start noticing your work. So that gets factored. So let's put that in the denominator. We have negative 2x minus 3, x minus 3. What can cancel? The 2x minus 3 can cancel. The x minus 3 can cancel. And that leaves me with this. This is where it gets interesting. So it leaves me with x over negative 1. That negative represents a negative 1. Now I can't leave this as my answer. I am going to have to push this negative up to make it negative x. Much like we would never leave 5 over negative 1. 5 over negative 1 always needs to be simplified to negative 5. So if we have x over negative 1, we know that that needs to be simplified to negative x. The only thing we have to be careful of is if you have a binomial over negative 1. And most teachers don't want you to leave that as the answer. You're going to have to move it up top. But because there are 2 terms, we move it to the top. It looks like this, and we would need to distribute it to both of those. So that is very tricky. That would simplify. This would simplify to this. That's the correct answer. All right, so be careful of that. All right, let's move on to the next 2 problems. These are relatively easy because they've already factored them for us. So number 3, we're going to cancel the r plus 2's. We're going to factor, or we're going to cancel the 7r minus 6, 7r minus 6. We can cancel the 3's, and that's it. We're left with r minus 9 over r plus 3. We can't cancel the r's because they're being added and subtracted. We can't cancel the negative 9 and positive 3 because they're being added and subtracted. All right, number 4. We have k plus, let's make it in red, sorry. We have k plus 1, and we're going to cancel one of the k plus 1's. That quantity squared means that there's 2 of them. All right. Oh, sorry. Hello, Mr. Mac. Look at that. What a silly mistake Mr. Mac made. But because I wasn't rushing, I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's weird. Gosh, that's not normal. Yeah, first step is to keep, change, and flip. Keep, change, flip. We're going to keep the numerator. We're going to change to multiplication, and then we're going to flip the reciprocal of the right fraction. Quantity squared. Okay, now we can start canceling. So we're going to, actually we have k plus 1 quantity squared, k plus 1 quantity squared. That's nice. We have 5 and 15. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 4 and 12. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 12 3 times. We can cancel this k with this k. And then we can actually cancel that 3 with that 3. So what do we have left? The only thing we have left is k plus 1. That would be my answer. That's a good one. So notice the mistake that Mr. Mac made. He forgot that he was dividing. So understand there are only 3 things, 3 key concepts: simplifying, multiplying, and dividing. And we have to remember when dividing to flip, to keep, change, and flip. All right? Now, let's look at number 5. This is where the heavy lifting is. So we have 4 sections. And I'm going to advise you to take each one, top left, top right, bottom right. I'm going to tell you to take each one separately. So let's look at top left. So top left, 2 terms, is there a common factor? Yeah, there's a common factor of 3. We can factor out a 3, and we get 3 times the quantity, 3x plus 4. So that's going to go in the top left. 3 times the quantity, 3x plus 4. Awesome. And now we're going to create a new space for the bottom left. Bottom left, 3 terms, is there a common factor? Is it in standard form? Is the first term negative? No, no, no. Not a special case, it's not a binomial square. So we're going to do a times c. 15 times negative 4 is negative 60. Factors of 60 are 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, 6 and 10, 7 no, 8 no, 9. My signs are different. If this is negative, means that they're different, and the bigger is positive. So I'm going to go and make all the bigger. The numbers on the right are going to be bigger than the numbers on the left, and the signs have to be different. So that gives me 59, this gives me 28, 17, 11, 7, and 4. My middle number is 17, so I'm going to take negative 3 and 20. 15x squared minus 3x plus 20x minus 4. I'm going to group and group. I'm going to factor out a 3x. That leaves me with 5. That's a horrible 5. That leaves me with 5x minus 1. A little tricky. I'm going to factor out a 4. That leaves me with 5x minus 1, which factors the 5x minus 1. 3x plus 4. That's a good one. I like that. 5x minus 1, 3x plus 4. 5x minus 1, 3x plus 4. Okay. Now we're going to go to the top right. Top right. Top right. 2 terms. Standard form. Common factor of 2. We got 5x minus 1. 5x minus 1. Whoop. Yep, 5x minus 1. So 2 times the quantity. 5x minus 1. Okay? Now we're going to factor the bottom right. Top right, bottom right. 2 terms, common factor, 3. We get x minus 3. Okay, that was not too bad. So 3 times the quantity, 5x minus 3. Now, once we factor, now we're going to look and see, can we cancel things? 3x plus 4, 5x minus 1, the 3 in the denominator, 3 in the numerator. And that's it. What are we left with? We're left with a 2 in the numerator, and we're left with x minus 3 in the denominator. And that's our answer. That was nice. Very, very efficient. Okay. And last one, first thing, I'm not going to fall for the same mistake, Mr. Mack. I notice it's division. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to keep. I'm going to change to multiplication. I'm going to flip. I'm going to put the denominator in the numerator. I'm going to put the, I'm going to put the numerator in the denominator, although that hurts my eyes. All right, so let's look at the top left. We get two terms. We're going to factor out a 2, and we get n plus 2. So top left becomes 2 times the quantity m plus 2. We're going to look at the bottom left. Bottom left, we're at 2 terms. Let's factor out a 6. We have 6 times the quantity n plus 2. 6 times the quantity n plus 2 times. All right, top right. We're going to do a little work. Top right, standard form, common factor, no. So we're going to do a times c. We got 5 times 2 equals 10. Factors of 10 are 1 and 10, 2 and 5. Signs are the same, both are negative. This gives me negative 11, negative 7. This is my middle. This is my middle, negative 11. So this becomes 5m squared minus m minus 10m plus 2. We're going to group the first 2, group the second 2. Factor out an n, which becomes 5m minus 1. We notice that from my second group, I have the first term negative, so I have to factor out a negative 2, which gives me 5n minus 1. 5n minus 1 times the quantity n minus 2. 5n minus 1, 5m minus 1, m minus 2. Pretty sure that was correct. Let's look at the bottom right. Bottom right is a little tricky. Oh, did I do n minus 1 or n minus 2? N minus 2, good. All right, let's look at the bottom right. Bottom right, not in standard form. That negative is attached to the 10. You have to write it as negative 10m plus 2. Now, they have a common factor, and my first term is negative. So I have to factor out a negative 2, which gives me 5m minus 1. Negative 2 times quantity 5m minus 1. All right, now let's start canceling. We get m plus 2. We got 5m minus 1. We have a 2 and a negative 2. The 2's cancel, but the negative doesn't. I got a 6 out here also, and I got an m minus 2 left over. So my answer is going to be m minus 2 over negative 6. I'm going to attach these two together. That's the best answer for your work. I would not take that negative and push it up to the top. All right. Those are the 6 questions from version 2. Hopefully that helped you. And if you have any questions, come and see me for extra help. Good luck.